Today's video is sponsored by War Thunder. Stick around to learn more about the game. Rockstar put out a graphics update for GTA 5 last month, probably to shut us all up while we wait for the next game to come out. It's not working. Here's some of the side-by-side comparisons of how global illumination affects the lighting, and you can tell a difference. I'm not going to pretend like this is not impressive, but at the same time, it doesn't change how I feel about this game. It's just a more high-fidelity version of something that I already enjoy. But it got me thinking about the relationship between video games and graphics, and specifically how modern gaming seems to treat graphics like it's the most important thing, which is weird to me because we're at a point where graphics have almost completely plateaued. Here's what I mean. Find someone in your life who doesn't pay attention to games like you and me, and show them Red Dead Redemption 2 next to Come Deliverance 2. Are they going to be able to tell which one came out this year? I don't think they could. They both look incredible, and unless you watch Digital Foundry, you can't spot which upscaling technique they're using or whether or not there's ray tracing in these games. By the way, neither of these games have ray tracing, which is, I don't even know, that's amazing. Games are magic. Anyways, so much of the marketing around games these days revolves around graphics and frame rates. RTX enhanced, DLSS 4, frame generation, PSSR AI. These overly complicated acronyms are buzzwords. They're marketing tools used to sell you on the idea that graphics are always improving. A lot of people are mad right now at Nvidia for what they feel is misleading advertising, and I think they're right. Their new 50 series cards rely heavily on using AI to generate frames instead of using raw power from the GPU. They'll throw out these trailers that say, look, Cyberpunk's running at 240 frames, and that's 10 times faster than it would otherwise. When in reality, the image quality is worse, and there's some latency and a bunch of other issues that I don't really fully understand. In any case, it's obviously shady, and it makes this whole new cards, upgraded graphics thing look ridiculous. A solid chunk of games coming out these days aren't even new. They're remasters or remakes of games that came out just a couple of years ago. Naughty Dog just released The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered for PC. And if that sounds like deja vu, that's because they just released a remastered version of that game on PS5 last year. For better or worse, we collectively as a gaming community have decided that graphics are pretty important to the overall gaming experience. But in reality, graphics aren't getting that much better, not like they used to. This is a rock in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't know what else to say. It's a rock. And look, I am always down to stare at a nice looking rock. But at a certain point, it's like, how good does the rock need to look? I'll say it because nobody else is. Rock graphics are not improving. And I think it's because we're already close to reality. There's only so much you can do to make a rock look better. Ever since I played the original Mass Effect on a chunky ass tube TV at my dad's house as a kid, I've been obsessed with how faces look in games. At the time, I could not believe how good video game faces looked. In 2025, we have insane looking faces. I mean, Death Stranding, Horizon Forbidden West. I wish every game could hit this quality level because it makes such a big difference. But at the same time, I don't know how much closer to reality we're gonna get with these faces. I'm sure there are ways that graphics can still improve, and if you guys can think of some, please share them in the comments below. I'm sure I'm not thinking of something. But I think it's fair to say that graphics have relatively peaked for the moment. I don't think this plateau, this curve is gonna change anytime soon. So if realistic graphics have relatively peaked, it makes me wonder, are modern graphics even worth it? As games look more realistic, is the benefit of modern graphics really worth the cost? And what do I mean when I say cost? There's the literal cost of games, which has slowly, steadily increased over the years. Thanks to the Switch 2, I'm pretty sure we can expect to pay $80 for new digital games, which is like, great. Thanks, Reggie. There's the cost of consoles and graphics cards, which has recently just skyrocketed. Sony wants you to fork over half your rent for a PS5 Pro just so the shadows can look slightly better. Nvidia wants your left kidney for a 5090 just so you can generate fake frames using AI. Wait, you're telling me the frames are worse? Okay. Oh, and it can burn your house down too. I love modern gaming. While the literal cost of modern graphics can be ridiculous, that's not the cost I want to focus on. What I'm talking about is opportunity cost. It's what we are giving up in order to get these modern realistic graphics. Now, before we get any further, obvious disclaimer, I'm not a game developer. I have never worked on a video game in my life, obviously. But I know that it takes teams of hundreds, many times thousands of hardworking, passionate people who aren't treated very well, by the way. It takes them several years to make a video game start to finish, bad or good. That's just how it works. And while these games do have ridiculous budgets, they're still working with limited resources. There's only so much time, so much money and people you can throw at these projects to make them better. All this to say, I think it's a safe bet to say that it costs a lot of resources to make a realistic game. So with all of that in mind, I'm gonna put a theory out there. And if you work in games and I'm wrong about this, please tell me I'm wrong in the comments below. Developers, and I mean as a whole, not individual devs, they spend too much time making games look realistic. Whatever percentage of the larger resource pie it takes to do this, it's too much. It's not worth it. Not like it used to be. At least for open world games, it feels like we've been playing the same looking generic open world game from a realism standpoint for so long. It just looks slightly better if you zoom in on the details. I'd rather have better gameplay, better animations, tighter storytelling, any number of things better than graphics at this point. Don't get me wrong, I want my games to look good. I do still care about that. But I think we're sacrificing too much in service of what we're getting. I'm talking things like development time, aesthetics, gameplay, and optimization. And we're gonna talk about all of those things in this video. Wait, hold on. I think those are the authentic sounds of war. This video is sponsored by War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. And it's available now for free on PC, consoles, and mobile. War Thunder immerses you in the center of massive battles, surrounded by detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and the authentic sounds of war. You get to choose from over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, starting with the fighter jets of modern day, all the way back to the biplanes of the 1920s. Every single vehicle is painstakingly detailed down to its individual parts. Plus, all types of armor, shells, and missiles behave just like they would in real life. X-ray view gives you a precise look at where the shell penetrated, what got hit, and how the vehicle was destroyed. More than 70 million players to date have played in War Thunder's epic PvP battles, thanks to its massive content library, perfect for fans of military history. Personally, I love how War Thunder has a game mode for every type of player. Arcade mode enhances vehicle performance and simplifies the physics. Realistic takes it a step further, balancing intensity and authenticity. But if you want the ultimate challenge, simulator mode has you covered. War Thunder pushes it further with in-depth customization, offering era-specific camos and markings for every vehicle, even ones created by the community. Now is the perfect time to jump in. Play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile using my link in the pinned comment and description below. New and returning players who haven't played in 6 months on PC and console will also get a massive bonus pack. This includes premium vehicles, the Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account. This bonus is available only for a limited time, so grab it quickly. Okay, I think that's it for the authentic sounds of war. It takes so stinking long to make a video game, and it's only gotten worse. If you've spent any time on video game Reddit, you've definitely seen this picture before. It's a timeline of Rockstar titles and their release dates going back to 1997. For the first decade, really until GTA 4, they were pumping out games. Which makes sense because the graphics look like this and the gameplay looked like this. Then in the next couple of years, they slowed down. We still got a new GTA or Red Dead game every few years, but they focus more on their big hitters. No offense to you, Rockstar Games presents Table Tennis. You were always a big hitter to me. After GTA 5 came out, we had this big 5-year gap between that game and Red Dead Redemption 2. And now, if it doesn't get delayed, please dear God, GTA 6 come out this year. If it comes out still in 2025, that'll be 12 years between sequels. Now, if any game is worth waiting 12 years for, it's probably GTA 6. This game is going to take over my life and everyone else's lives for a very long time. And as far as track records go, Rockstar is probably the safest bet outside of From Software. I know that their recent remasters haven't been great, but that's been like outside studios handling those. For their main primary studios, they just don't miss. Even if it's amazing, the greatest thing to ever exist. This is an insanely long time to wait for a video game to come out. Even for something as culturally significant as GTA, the experience of waiting 12 years just sucks. I started college when GTA 5 came out. I picked up the special edition from GameStop at midnight, went home, and then recorded this video.
What's up guys, Jayvee 2017 here, and I'm super excited because I just got back from GameStop and I got Grand Theft Auto 5 Collector's Edition. Here it is guys, right here for you. I'm gonna unbox it. I wish I had some better visuals for you guys. Man, I am shaky. Ooh, look what we got here. This is the Los Santos Snapback. Hey guys, look at this snapback. Look how sick this is, Los Santos. Oh my god.
If you told that 18-year-old kid that he'd wait 12 years to play the sequel in this series, that he'd be married by now and have a house, he probably would have cried, honestly. That's too much to tell a human being. They should know that much. You've seen time travel movies, right? That's too much. Now I know what you're thinking. Graphics are not the reason GTA 6 has taken this long to come out, not even the main reason. We all know who to blame, right? The runaway success of GTA Online coupled with the booming success of live service games in general, it made Rockstar comfortable. They decided to just work on their cash cow and add pretty frequent updates ever since. They also spent valuable time making Red Dead Redemption 2, which honestly is an unbelievable video game, and I don't regret that time they spent whatsoever. But if we're being honest, graphics have cost them time too. Tweaking the engine to deliver more realistic visuals, shooting for what qualifies as a realistic game in 2025, these things do extend development time. Going back to the Rockstar timeline, this trend is real and existed well before GTA Online was even out. Better graphics means less games, which means longer time waiting. And the time we've spent waiting on GTA 6, I don't think it's going to be proportional to how good the game is going to look. I have no doubt this game will look incredible. I mean, it already does from the first trailer that came out last year. But I don't think I'll boot up this game and think, wow, this was really worth waiting 12 years for, guys. Especially considering the story DLC we could have had for GTA 5 or other potential spin-offs that could have come out in the meantime. Actually, I gotta come clean with you guys. I've been lying for like 30 seconds now, maybe a minute. I most certainly will love whatever Rockstar puts in front of me, because I cannot wait to play this game. I haven't had this kind of buzz for a game coming out since like Starfield, and I don't want to talk about Starfield. Don't ask me about it. If there's any series where modern, realistic graphics are gonna be worth it, it's GTA 6. I'm just venting about waiting so goddamn long for this stupid game to come out. But for 99% of games out there, I think my point still remains. There is a cost to developing realistic looking graphics. And unless your game is the biggest game of all time, maybe the time spent making rocks look better isn't worth it. The experience of modern gaming when it comes to performance, it's not great.
Okay, I bumped down some of the graphics because my 4090 was chugging a little bit, which is not what you want.
Keep in mind, I'm talking about new games running on new hardware, because the experience of playing slightly older games on decent hardware has never been better. If there's anything this generation of consoles has gotten right, it's running a large catalog of older games at higher resolutions and higher frame rates. But new games are a completely different story. On the PC side of things, people spend 92% of their time playing games that are 2 years or older, which is insane if you think about it. But it does make a lot of sense if you consider how poorly optimized new games have become. People aren't willing to shell out money on a brand new game if it's gonna run like crap, and a lot of them do. Just in the last 5 years, there's honestly too many games with bad performance on launch to even count. But here are some of the lowlights for me. We can't do a bad performance segment without mentioning Cyberpunk. More like cyber junk. Just kidding, I really love this game. Eventually it did get better with updates, but for a lot of people it was too little too late. Honestly, CD Projekt Red is so insanely lucky. Very few developers can survive this kind of failure, let alone bounce back seemingly stronger than ever. Jedi Survivor is a game that you probably forgot about. This game is almost 2 years old, and it still doesn't run well on PC or consoles. Digital Foundry keeps checking on each update that they put out for the game, and they are still dumbfounded as to how this thing runs so badly. Dragon's Dogma 2 came out last year, and performance was horrible. It ran like a warm glass of milk on my 4090. Apparently it's more CPU intensive because of all of the NPCs it needs to keep track of, but still, I would have enjoyed this game so much more if it didn't chug like this on my machine. Stalker 2. This is hard to complain about because of the literal war that they're having to go through, but I stopped playing the game because of performance, and I haven't gone back since. Same goes with Black Myth Wukong. For me, this is like right up my alley. I should have loved this game, but I bailed after 10 hours on one of the Game of the Year contenders from last year solely because of performance. In most of these cases, people like to point to the engine being the problem. Most recently, Unreal Engine 5 seems to catch a lot of strays. Again, as I've already said, I'm not a game developer, so I don't have an informed opinion on this. But while researching this video, I did find someone who claims to work on Unreal full-time and also on optimizing games. At least they say they do. Nobody on the internet would lie, would they? They compare Unreal Engine to a kitchen. And guys, I am a sucker for an extended metaphor. The Unreal Kitchen has a lot of cool ingredients that you can use. But if you throw all of them into one pot, it's gonna taste bad, which is another way of saying that studios have bad development pipelines. They have tons of different teams working on different things that get implemented at different times. And sometimes things get added way too late in the process. The reality is, you just don't know how good that dish is gonna taste until everything is finalized. Games are getting more complex and harder to optimize, but the people in charge aren't taking that extra time into account because they have no idea what it takes to develop a video game, and they must please the shareholders at all costs. God forbid stock prices aren't going up every quarter. I won't be able to take that third trip to Hawaii this year. Damn it all. Damn it all. For the sake of the point I'm making, we're gonna take this person's word for it and say that the engine is not entirely to blame for this. In the case of UE5, it's still pretty new, so it may take devs a while to get more comfortable with this engine. But even when that happens, it's still the choices made over the course of development time that determines how a game turns out technically. Fancy graphics and photorealistic visuals, these are only some of the ingredients in the kitchen of game development. Sorry, I'll stop. What I'm trying to say is graphics play a key role in performance. And in the endless pursuit for games to look more and more realistic, performance is most certainly suffering. New games just don't run very well on new hardware, and there's no amount of money that consumers can throw at the problem to make it go away. It's really nice to have photo mode in every single game so we can take high quality screenshots. But as Abraham Lincoln said in 1857, games are meant to be played in motion, not admired in screenshots. I can and often do appreciate a beautiful game, but when it runs like shit, we have a problem. Also, it's totally not lost on me that asking developers to spend more time optimizing games means we're gonna have longer development times. I just spent like 5 minutes complaining about how long it takes for new games to come out. But that's all the more reason to stop focusing so much on modern graphics. If you cut back on that area, then you will end up saving some time and hopefully better performance. Nintendo, you son of a bitch. There's no better example of how much graphics don't matter as much as we think they do than Nintendo. They just revealed the Switch 2, and one of the big new features is that it can run games in 4K.
Use the Nintendo Switch 2 dock to connect to your TV and enable up to 4K resolution.
And also game chat.
Hi.
Hey.
Finally, I can play games and chat with my friends all on the same entertainment system. Thanks, Nintendo. It's always funny to me how behind the curve Nintendo is when it comes to these kinds of things. They wait decades to add features that are all but expected from the competition, but like, it works. The Switch is the best-selling non-handheld only console since the PlayStation 2. It didn't matter that this thing had a 720p screen and could only output 1080p when docked. Nintendo focused their time on doing what they do best, which is crafting fun, engaging gameplay. Unique experiences that you can only find in their games on their consoles. While Microsoft and Sony were locked in an arms race to deliver the most teraflops possible. What even is a teraflop? I don't know. And this isn't anything new new for Nintendo, right? They've always known that competing for the best graphics, the best visuals, the highest resolutions, none of that really matters as long as your audience is having fun. This is their MO, and it's gonna keep working for them because nobody makes games like Nintendo, except a studio that made Astrobot. That is the most Nintendo-ass game that was not made by Nintendo ever. It's funny hearing myself advocate so hard for Nintendo because it's not like I'm a big Nintendo fan. I never talk about it on my channel. In fact, the last Switch video I even made was from 2017, right after the Switch came out. I'll bust mine out for the big games like The Legend of Zelda or Animal Crossing. I mean, I've still got to pay off my mortgage. Shit, I just realized I haven't paid Tom Nook in like 5 years. If you see him, don't mention me. He's gonna be pissed. I move on from Nintendo games because generally speaking, they're not for me. My first console was a Nintendo 64 bundled with Pokemon Stadium. I played Super Mario 64 and all the Mario sports games at my dad's. After that, the only Nintendo console I had growing up was the Wii. I remember in 2006, I went to the mall to wait outside of GameStop at like 4 a.m. They only had 7 Wiis in stock and I was like the 6th one to get it. I felt so lucky. I spent a lot of time on Wii Sports and Mario Party when my cousin came to visit, but I never stuck with these games for super long. And it's hard to say exactly why, but if I had to pick one thing, I think it's because, for the most part, Nintendo games don't really focus on story. I mean, Mario does have a story, so does Zelda, but for me, it's hard to form like an emotional connection to the plots of those games, to saving Peach from Bowser. It exists more as a vehicle for the gameplay, to get you to keep playing, instead of being like the main attraction, the star of the show. I didn't connect with these games or their stories like I did with Master Chief in Halo, or Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, Ezio in Assassin's Creed. I guess what I'm trying to say is, while Nintendo games are generally not for me, I still appreciate the fact that they go for gameplay over graphics. I think it's an approach that a lot of games going for photorealistic graphics could really learn from. And there's absolutely an audience of edgelords out there like myself that look for complex narratives and compelling themes and characters, but also want the gameplay to feel innovative and unique and engaging like a Nintendo game. There's a happy medium to be found, and I really want to play that kind of game. Going for realism in video games is really limiting. If the goal for your video game is to make every single part of it as close to real life as possible, then it narrows down the possibilities. Any sort of gameplay concept, creative idea, or plot detail, it has to be filtered through the constraints of reality. I'm exaggerating a bit here because all games have to stretch reality, otherwise they'd be boring. But bear with me here. There's absolutely a place for realistic games. Like we mentioned before, Grand Theft Auto 6 can't abandon realism. That's at the core of that game's identity, and it wouldn't be a Rockstar game without it. I also want to stress, I don't think going for realism is inherently wrong or bad. When I was a kid, I would dream about the day when games would mimic reality, when things would be so close that you couldn't tell the difference. Like, that was a genuinely compelling idea to me. But now that we're here, so many games go for realism that it feels exhausting. It's like the games industry got together like a decade ago and decided, hey, we're all gonna go for one singular look. Our characters are all gonna look as close to lifelike as possible. Our environments are going to mimic the places in which they're set. The result is this soupy, samey, oversaturated art direction where all games look really similar. Because again, reality is reality and it mostly looks the same to all of us. Why? Why are we doing this? The main reason I can think of is money, of course. It's gotta be so much easier to sell a realistic looking game to the masses. You don't have to think too hard about The Last of Us. It's a story about a man protecting his daughter at all costs. It takes place in Texas, Wyoming, Washington, real places in real life that people visit and live in. Sure, the clickers are fictional creatures that don't exist in reality. I hope they don't. But that's about the only thing in the Last of Us universe that warps reality for me. Except maybe Joel's decision making at the start of The Last of Us Part 2.
You should have killed me.
Okay, calm down. Calm down, it's a joke. A realistic game with a high concept story set in modern times, it's just easier to sell. The problem is there are so many games in the last decade that went for photorealism for that reason, and it did not work out. Remember Marvel's Avengers?
What are we waiting for?
That game went for such a lukewarm, boring, milquetoast version of reality that it felt so soul-sucking to exist in that world. Obviously, this game had so many other issues besides its art style, but how do you take the rich, creative art direction from the comic books and then turn it around and make it look like this? They were going for a cheap knockoff of the Marvel movies, but that's what it felt like, a cheap knockoff, and it just didn't work. I'm so glad that Marvel Rivals stuck to its comic book inspired roots for its art style. It's slick and stylish, and there's really no limit to what they can do with this visual aesthetic. I think the best example of a game that convinces you it takes place in the real world but doesn't shoot for photorealism is Ghost of Tsushima. This is such an unbelievably gorgeous game to me. There are so many jaw-dropping moments that just force you to stop and stare and admire what you're looking at. The visual language Sucker Punch arrived at allows you to immerse yourself in its world and its story, inspired by real-world events, while also bending the rules of reality to produce these magical moments that you won't forget. All in an open-world game, by the way, which is even more impressive to me. These things are not as staged as they would be in a linear experience. It's truly a masterclass. I still love it, and I cannot wait to see what they cook up with Ghost of Yote. Another studio who nails this is From Software, and I didn't actually realize this until I saw this post on R Gaming. They've released either a new game or a piece of DLC on average every single year for a decade straight. To be fair, most of their games are very similar mechanically, but that's still really impressive in today's, ecosystem. And when you look at these games visually, they are not trying to push boundaries. Instead, they're leaning on excellent art direction. The Soulsborne aesthetic is completely unique, and it brings these worlds and these characters to life and makes them memorable. And it's one of many reasons people still go back and play the older Souls games. To me, they're high art. The other issue I have with going for realism for the art direction is a lot of the times it doesn't age well. Instead of going for a unique art style that feels timeless, some games are stuck with whatever technology was available at the time. And inevitably, those games look worse as technology progresses and looks more modern and realistic. Ironically, a lot of the games that went for realism in like 2013 through 2019 they still look amazing because that realism aesthetic, the technology hasn't progressed that much. Then there's the uncanny valley problem, where faces and graphics, they get so close to looking realistic, but they don't quite get there. And this makes us as humans feel uncomfortable because we know what real looks like and that's not real. Honestly, with so many games going for realism these days, I think we're in an uncanny valley epidemic. Can I say epidemic without being demonetized? Like I mentioned earlier, Horizon Forbidden West has some of the very best faces I've ever seen in a video game and in an open world video game. But for some reason, I can't shake the feeling something's wrong with these faces. I want to say they're too expressive or overly emotional to the point where it feels fake. It's a subtle thing that's difficult to describe, but once you see it, you know what it is. Assassin's Creed Shadows, on the other hand, does not look realistic. And it's painfully obvious because you look at the rest of the world and it's gorgeous. It looks like real life, but then you look at the faces and it's like, oh, I'm in a video game. Whatever they're doing over at Ubisoft with facial animation, it's not working. It is crazy to me looking back to the hand-touched, keyframed animations from Black Flag and Origins. They look so good. Put that next to the scenes in Shadows and it makes you wonder what the hell happened. Honestly, I really should do a whole video on faces in video games because I could talk about this topic all day long. Maybe I will. Going for realistic graphics and making it work is just difficult. There's so many pitfalls to the point where it feels prohibitive. Unless it's an established IP that's always been doing it this way, I think most new games and franchises, they should go for a more stylized art direction. Not quite shooting for real life, but close enough. Something that feels unique and memorable, rather than a byproduct of the technology of the times. We need to be better about the way we talk about games. And look, I get it. We're in the age of social media. We're at the mercy of everyone's opinions at all times. Hell, I'm recording myself right now, giving my opinion on something that a good portion of you didn't ask for and probably don't care about, and almost certainly disagree with. It's human nature for us to compare things together. It's natural to do this. In our reality in 2025, everything is examined under a microscope. We all have the means to film and write scripts and, share our takes. I'm not saying people shouldn't share their opinions. People are gonna do that no matter what I say on a YouTube video. But I think it's fair to ask, is it healthy? or even reasonable to criticize and pick apart absolutely everything under the sun? At what point can art just exist? It's okay if you don't like something. Not everything is made for you. We're slowly building up this alternative reality where every game has to meet a certain criteria or else it's bad or it sucks. And personally, I think it would suck if every single game was the same. If we sanded down all the rough edges and went down a checklist of requirements every single time we played a new one. I think we all need to take a deep breath and go touch grass. Maybe I need to do that. I'm getting worked up. What was the point of this video? Are modern graphics even worth it? I've tried my best to undercut my own opinions in this video to give like another perspective. I am impressed by the spectacle of a beautiful, realistic, modern graphics video game. It's truly incredible when it works, when it doesn't take forever to come out, when the performance isn't awful, when the gameplay is fun and engaging, and the creativity isn't limited by the art direction. When people make fun of modern gaming, the list of things they usually point to are microtransactions that get shoved into our faces, live service shooters that get canceled after 2 weeks, and remasters that come out only a couple of years after the original game. I think we should add modern graphics to the list, because to me, the benefit of modern graphics doesn't really match up to the cost. Thanks to War Thunder again for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to play for free now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile using my link in the pinned comment and description. New and returning players who haven't played in 6 months on PC and console will also get a massive bonus pack, including multiple premium vehicles and an exclusive vehicle decorator. This bonus is available for a limited time, so don't miss it. I just want to say thank you guys for all of the honest feedback on my last video, my Kingdom Come 2 video, my last green screen video. I feel like I learned a lot from that experience and still getting the hang of this. It's funny, I advocated like for the realism in that game because I thought it was so cool and so interesting. And in this video, I'm arguing against it. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please give me more feedback. What's working for you guys? What's not working? It totally helps me make a better video. And I want to make this a regular thing. I want this to be my normal content. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Oh, also, I want to interact with you guys more. I have a Discord server. I'm going to leave a link in the description. Please come hang out and talk games. I want to build more community. I feel like that's something I'm not great at. There's a lot of great people already on there hanging out, having fun, talking games. And I'd love for you to join us too. Okay, bye.